Julie Chrisley shares her main focus while in prison. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. Julie Chrisley has revealed what her main focus was while she was locked up in prison. Fans have been wondering if she was focused on her children, getting out, Todd, or what she was mainly worried about while she was behind bars. Well, she has shared what her priority was and what she felt the worst about while doing her time. There is a lot to unfold and uncover when it comes to this. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. Julie Chrisley is opening up about how she is coping behind bars and what has become her driving force during the most difficult chapter of her life. The former reality star, known for her role on Chrisley Knows Best, has been candid in revealing how prison has changed her perspective and shifted her priorities. Since beginning her sentence, Julie has maintained a low profile, but through rare family podcast episodes and statements relayed by her daughter Savannah, she has shared glimpses into her mindset and her current focus that continues to give her strength despite the pain and isolation. Julie has made it clear that her main focus while in prison is staying mentally and spiritually strong. Her days behind bars are spent reading, journaling, praying, and trying to find inner peace as she confronts the harsh realities of incarceration. For Julie, faith has become her anchor. She leans into prayer and scripture more than ever before, calling her spiritual life a lifeline that helps her remain grounded and optimistic, even when she feels broken away from her family and familiar comforts. Julie is learning to rely on something deeper than routine or distraction. She has described her time in prison as both humbling and revealing, and she has acknowledged that facing the silence and emptiness without her loved ones has forced her to look inward in a way she never had to before. In letters and voice messages passed through family, Julie expressed how she is working every day to become stronger emotionally and spiritually. She has said that her goal is to come out of this time not defeated but transformed. She wants to use the solitude as a season of personal growth and reflection, with hopes of re-entering the world not just as a free woman but a better version of herself. Julie also shared how deeply she misses her role as a mother and wife. The separation from her family remains one of the hardest aspects of her imprisonment, and she admits that thinking about her children and husband every day is both a source of sorrow and motivation. She holds onto memories and the belief that staying strong now will allow her to rebuild later. She encourages her family to live their lives and hold on to hope while she works quietly on herself behind prison walls. Despite the challenges she continues to face, Julie believes that this chapter is not the end of her story, and she wants to use her experience to help others who may feel hopeless or lost. She remains focused on healing from within and staying true to who she is at her core, even as her world looks nothing like it once did. Her voice may be limited now, but her determination to hold on to faith and purpose has never been stronger. Julie Chrisley gets out of prison, but has PTSD. Julie Chrisley was locked up for over 2 years in federal prison. This was for tax evasion and fraud. Todd Chrisley was also locked up at the same time. However, Donald Trump chose to pardon both of them. During this time, Savannah Chrisley had to take custody of her younger siblings, Grayson and Chloe. The prison time hit Julie much harder than it did Todd. Savannah has even said that she sees more trauma in her mother than in her father. This was a hard time for the entire family. Julie Chrisley is no longer behind bars, but her release from prison has not brought the relief or closure many might have expected. The former reality television star is now facing a new battle on the outside, one that is invisible but just as consuming. She is struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder and is slowly beginning to open up about how her time in prison has left emotional scars that may never fully heal. While fans and followers rejoiced at the news of her early release, those closest to Julie knew that the journey ahead would be far from easy. Her family has revealed that Julie has been dealing with lingering trauma that follows her into everyday life. Despite being free, her mind is still trapped in the painful experiences of confinement. She has trouble sleeping, is easily startled, and often becomes overwhelmed in crowds or unfamiliar situations. These are just a few signs of what she has described as deep emotional distress that surfaced once she stepped out of prison walls. Julie has been leaning on her faith, her family, and therapy as she tries to process through family statements that her time in prison was much harder than she ever imagined, and that surviving it left her not only exhausted but fractured. The lack of privacy, the fear, the isolation, and the constant uncertainty wore her down slowly, piece by piece. Now outside, she is trying to reclaim her sense of safety. But that journey is proving to be incredibly complex. Loved ones say Julie has changed. He is quieter, more guarded, and prone to sudden tears or flashes of sadness in the middle of what should be joyful moments. Simple things like grocery shopping or hearing a door slam can trigger memories of her time behind bars. Her daughter Savannah has shared that they are doing everything they can to support her, but acknowledges that healing from this kind of trauma will not happen overnight. Julie is now focused on recovery and reflection. She wants to understand her own emotional responses and hopes that speaking about her struggles can help others feel less alone in their own battles with trauma. She has expressed a desire to eventually use her story to advocate for women in prison and raise awareness about the lasting psychological impact of incarceration. While she is grateful to be home with her family again, Julie knows that freedom is more than physical. It is emotional and mental too, and she is still working toward that kind of healing. Every single day, her story is no longer just about legal battles or reality television. It is now about survival, the quiet pain after the storm, and the courage it takes to rebuild from the inside. She shares what her main focus was in prison. For me, that was one of the most difficult things about being in prison, because I pride myself on being a good mother. I pride myself in always being there for my children. And I think that's what people need to realize. That when you're being sentenced by these judges, it was very easy to say, oh, there's lots of people that can help them raise their kids. No. Julie Chrisley, best known for her role on the hit reality show Chrisley Knows Best, is beginning to open up about her time behind bars and what helped her survive the long, difficult days away from her family. While the world outside debated her sentence and speculated on her future, Julie was focused on something far deeper and more personal. Now that she is finding her voice again, she is sharing that her main focus during her prison stay was faith, personal growth, and staying connected to her inner strength despite the harsh conditions of her new reality. Julie says she refused to let prison break her spirit. She leaned heavily into her spiritual beliefs, using prayer and scripture as a way to cope with the isolation, the emotional strain, and the guilt that followed her each day. She has shared that reading the Bible, journaling, and reflecting on her life gave her clarity and peace in moments when everything else felt out of her control. For Julie, staying mentally and emotionally grounded was not just a choice, it was a necessity. Her days were often quiet and repetitive, filled with strict rules and a lack of freedom, but she saw every day as a chance to better understand herself and to prepare for life beyond prison walls. She has admitted that her situation forced her to confront fears, pain, and regrets she had long avoided. With nowhere to hide, she chose to face them head-on. For Julie, one of the hardest parts was being away from her children and husband. She says she thought about her family constantly, and that they were her biggest motivation to stay strong. She would imagine the day she could hug them again, and let that image guide her through her darkest moments. Her daughter Savannah has revealed that Julie tried to keep a sense of routine. Even behind bars, she would wake up early, spend time reading, and focus on small things that made her feel human again. She wrote letters and tried to stay connected with the outside world. As much as the system allowed, these moments of communication became lifelines, reminders that she was still a mother, still a wife, and still loved, though the world may have viewed her differently. From within, Julie made it her mission to become a better version of herself. She focused on forgiveness, letting go of anger, and finding peace, even in a place designed to strip people of their identity. She now says that her time in prison, while painful, gave her a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. And while she would never wish the experience on anyone, she does believe that her focus during that time has changed her forever. Julie Chrisley is no longer just a reality TV figure. She is a woman who went through a fire and chose to use it as fuel to grow rather than a reason to burn out. What do you think? Are you shocked? This was her main focus. Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, America Trends 24, and stay with us.